have not been prosecuted, Alan. Don't lie on television where people can fact you. None of them have been prosecuted.
Yes, they have been.
Which soldier?
I know they have been.
Which soldier was prosecuted for dropping a grenade on a child?
There are dozens
of them.
You're lying
on national TV. Piers Morgan can come back on the next episode and tell everyone that you're not telling the truth. Hold on, Piers. Somebody forced Alan Dershowitz to defend Netanyahu. He said he's proud to do it. No one forced him to do it.
Which criminal should he defend?
I'm proud to do it.
You're proud to defend Benjamin Netanyahu.
He's a criminal lawyer.
You're proud to defend Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein. You defend the worst people in the world. This is about Netanyahu trying to avoid prison. I know Alan is an expert on criminals. He's defended some of the worst criminals in the world.
Lawyers do defend criminals.
Well, he defends some of the worst people. Epstein, Netanyahu.
Yeah, but lawyers...
No one forced him to defend these
lawyers
some of the best.
Oh shit, folks, here we go. It's a battle of the giants tonight, and trust me, you're gonna want to stick around because Mehdi Hasan and Alan Dershowitz are about to deliver knockout blows. Right out of the gate, we've got Alan trying to justify Israel's actions by throwing historical comparisons around like candy at Halloween, and Mehdi ready to fact check him into oblivion with receipts hotter than Gaza summer. But hold on though, later in this debate something absolutely explosive happens. I won't spoil it too much, but let's just say Mehdi's about to drop a truth bomb on Alan that'll have you rewinding to watch it again and again. Is Dershowitz gonna recover from this? Can Mehdi really pull it off on Piers Morgan's turf? Get your popcorn for it, because when your smoke screen clears, only one giant will remain standing. If you blink, you'll miss it. Let's dive straight into this clash of titans, and trust me, you'll want to watch every second of this.
Well, there is a big difference between Hamas, which murders innocent people and babies and children, and Israel, which defends itself against such actions. Now,
but Israel is killing so many... Yeah, but Alan, we've had this conversation. Israel is now... Israel is losing... I know, but Israel's losing people like me, right, and many like me who had a lot of support for Israel's right to defend itself because of the sheer volume of innocent children in particular that are being slaughtered on a daily basis. Now, you know, it's an arguable point whether everything the IDF is doing is intentional or not. They say none of it's intentional, but they are killing a staggering number of children in the process of going after Hamas.
Let's just remember one point. One of the greatest days in American history is June 6, 1944, the greatest generation. They killed so many more civilians in the process of ending Nazism. Another great day was VJ Day. I was old enough to remember it. They killed 100,000 or more civilians. Israel is doing far, far less than the United States and Great Britain did. When your people are endangered, when your children are murdered and your women are raped, then you do engage in actions. And particularly, remember, in England and in the United States, the enemy wasn't hiding among civilians, whereas Hamas brags about the fact that its civilians are martyrs. We want them to die. The goal, the tactic of Hamas is let's get Israel to kill as many civilians as possible, 50,000, 60,000, and then we can get Piers Morgan to turn against them. That's their goal. They are targeting you, and you're accepting it because that's their goal. And I don't blame you. Good people support Hamas, or at least oppose Israel, because they don't understand that all these deaths are the result. No, I'm not saying that. I say good people do. Some people do. The people who march in New York or oppose Israel because they don't fully understand the tactic of Hamas to kill as many.
No, I understand that. Okay, I want to go to Mehdi. I want to go to Mehdi. Alan, I fully understand the tactic of Hamas. What I don't understand...
No, I understand
What I don't understand are the current tactics of the Israeli government, which seem to be not a lot better. Mehdi, your response?
I mean, I don't know what to respond to. So much was said, and so much nonsense there was said about violence and killings by someone, as I say, who's volunteered to defend Netanyahu at the International Criminal Court, where he's been indicted with the former Israeli defense minister for war crimes.
I'm proud of that.
And crimes against humanity. Of course you're proud of it, because you don't value Palestinian life. Let's just deal with some things you said. Number one, you talked about deals and negotiations. Gershon Baskin, who is the only Israeli negotiator to have ever successfully negotiated with Hamas, keeps saying, he said it just the other day, go check his Twitter feed, that he has communications from Hamas saying, we have offered the Israeli government a full ceasefire. We will leave government. We will not govern Gaza. We will return all the hostages in return for a permanent ceasefire. Israel doesn't want a permanent ceasefire because Smotrich and others want 60 days and then they go back to the killing when the hostages are released. He's offered a permanent end to the war. Israel doesn't want a permanent end to the war. That's what Baskin is saying. Secondly, you talk about killing of kids.
I do. I would like that.
You talk about killing of kids. I mean, the Israeli military does intentionally kill
children. Deliberate.
Let's read
972.
Israeli publication interviewed 7 Israeli soldiers and officers, Piers, who returned from Gaza. Just last week, in several cases, the soldier said, Israeli troops deliberately targeted children. There was a boy who entered the zone. He didn't do anything. Other soldiers claimed to have seen him standing, talking to people. That's it.
And
they dropped a grenade from a drone. In another incident, soldiers tried to kill a child riding a bicycle.
And they get prosecuted
So
for
they
it.
have not been prosecuted, Alan. Don't lie on television where people can fact you. None of them have been prosecuted.
Yes, they have been.
Which soldier?
I know they have been.
Which soldier was
Yes, they have
prosecuted
been.
for dropping a grenade on a child?
There are dozens
You're lying
of them who,
on national TV. Piers Morgan can come back on the next episode and tell everyone that you're not telling the truth.
Dozens of them have been prosecuted.
Not a single Israeli soldier has been prosecuted for deliberately killing a Palestinian child. That is a lie. A demonstrable lie. Everyone watching right now.
Hang on. Just to be clear, Alan, what Mehdi is saying is that no Israeli soldier has been prosecuted for deliberately killing a Palestinian child since this war began. Is your information different to that?
Absolutely different. I know for a fact because I was involved in the negotiations with the International Criminal Court, and I arranged for Khan to come to Israel and see the evidence of what has been done, how people have been prosecuted, how the Israeli legal system has been responsive. So I have all the data and all the information.
Name them. Come back on this show and name those soldiers.
It's true that they've been prosecuted.
Come back on this show, Alan, and name those soldiers. I challenge you. Now, I'll finish my point. You interrupted me. Hold on. You interrupted me. I never interrupted you. You've interrupted me twice now on this show.
No, I didn't interrupt you.
You did, actually. You interrupted to make false claims.
I did ask Alan a question.
Well, let me finish my point. Actually, my second point, Piers, was to you. I dealt with the Gershon Baskin and the deliberate killing of kids. They just killed 6 kids queuing up for water.
I was about to talk about
yesterday.
that.
They killed 9 kids queuing up for nutritional supplements last week. Stop
they
interrupting, Alan. Everyone can see you do it.
And it's under investigation.
Stop interrupting, Alan. Otherwise, I'll do it to you, and you really won't like it. Piers, let me make my point to you that I'm trying to make. You mentioned the New York Times. I'm glad you've mentioned the New York Times several times. The New York Times piece, the long piece, has a lot in there. 2 important points for you, Piers. I've been coming on this show for over a year talking to you about Gaza. Last April and July, the New York Times reports that Netanyahu's own generals told him, there's no military strategy left. There's nothing more we can do. Stop this war. Netanyahu overrode them. So when I was on this show and you were telling me, of course, they're just defending themselves. What else should they be doing? At that time, when I was on this show, Piers, generals were telling Netanyahu there's no war left to be had. They also make it very clear in this piece that the government would have fallen apart had Netanyahu not prolonged the war because he wanted to avoid prosecution. And I'm sorry that we needed the New York Times to say that, because I was saying that on this show to you, Piers. Many people were saying that this war is about Netanyahu trying to avoid prison. This is about Netanyahu trying to avoid prison. I know Alan is an expert on criminals. He's defended some of the worst criminals in the world.
Lawyers do defend criminals.
Well, he defends some of the worst people. Epstein, Netanyahu.
Yeah, but lawyers...
No one forced him to defend these people.
Some of the best.
Piers, no one forced him to go volunteer to defend Benjamin Netanyahu.
You can't make aspersions against lawyers.
I can actually. I can say you don't need. You don't need to.
It's not very credible to do that.
Really?
Lawyers do their job.
Hold on, Piers. Somebody forced Alan Dershowitz to defend Netanyahu. He said he's proud to do it. No one forced him to do it.
Which criminal should he defend?
I'm proud to do it.
You're proud to defend Benjamin Netanyahu.
He's a criminal lawyer.
You're proud to defend Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein. You defend the worst people in the world.
I was proud.
Okay.
Yes. And I was proud to defend Bill Clinton, and I was proud to defend Ted Kennedy. I've defended people on I've also defended Palestinians who were charged with offenses in Israel. I've also defended Palestinian students at Harvard who wanted to put up a Palestinian flag.
Have you defended Netanyahu's corruption trial? I think you've only defended his war crimes.
But you know what, Mehdi? I do think it's a very lame.
No, I've been involved in his corruption trial too.
It's a very. I've always felt, and a lot of people try this with Alan Dershowitz, because there are lots of things you can argue with Alan about what he believes. But when people go ad hominem about him being a lawyer defending bad
Piers,
people...
Well, I'm going to respond now since both come
Most criminal lawyers I've ever met at some stage defend pretty dodgy people.
Piers, look at that.
It's their job, literally their job.
We're looking at our cameras. Look at your camera and say honestly that you would say to Saddam Hussein's law or Slobodan Milosevic's law or Vladimir Putin's law, you wouldn't say a word about people who choose in the West to go defend those people? Yes, you would. It's just you give Netanyahu a pass. I see him in the same league as Saddam Hussein, Vladimir Putin, Slobodan Milosevic. If a Westerner chooses to go defend these people, no one forced him to. I'm going to question their moral judgment.
Do they have a right to defend?
Of course they have a right to a defence.
Then they should have
a right. But no one forced...
Well, hang on. Then they should have a right to have a lawyer defending them.
Of course.
You understand that?
Understood.
That's how the legal system works.
So if a British...
justice
Hold
works.
on, Piers. If a British lawyer volunteered to go defend Putin, you wouldn't cast any moral aspersions on them. Don't lie, Piers. You know you would.
So just to be clear, who should Alan be defending? Give me some criminal names.
People in New York, people wherever he lives.
Which criminals?
Why does he have to go defend Netanyahu?
Give me some names.
Hold on. Why do you have to go defend Netanyahu?
I do have.
I think it's a crazy attack.
I
look at vile people and I wonder, why would you volunteer to go defend that person?
Because they're lawyers. Anyway, let's move on to the more substantive part of this. So, I mean, Alan, this incident that Mehdi referenced, the strike on a water distribution point at a Gaza refugee camp that killed 10 people, including 6 children, wounded 17 more. The IDF said it intended to hit an Islamic Jihad militant, but a technical error caused the missile to miss its target. But, you know, having technical errors that wipe out 6 kids in a refugee camp at this stage of this war.
Terrible.
And these stories are coming every day now. How does this end?
War is hell, and these kinds of accidents happen all the time. Many Israelis have been killed by Israeli-friendly fire. Many, including a relative of mine who was killed by friendly fire. Accidents happen. Israelis immediately announced that they would investigate, and if warranted, it might have been a pure accident, but if warranted, there'll be prosecution. Israel prosecutes its own criminals, and it does it all the time. And of course, Hamas rewards them. The Palestinian Authority pays terrorists to kill, pay for slay. There's an enormous difference. The United States government had many cases of accidental killings during every war we fought. And the difference between a democracy and a tyranny is that in a democracy, you investigate.
And there you have it, folks. Mehdi Hasan didn't just debate Alan Dershowitz, he dissected him slow and surgical, like War Crimes Tribunal with the mic. While Dershowitz was busy defending Netanyahu like he's auditing for law and order, apartheid victims unit, Mehdi was out here bringing facts, receipts, and a level of moral clarity that made Alan look like a PR agent from the Hague's Most Wanted. Who volunteers to defend a man indicted by the International Criminal Court and the International Court of Justice? That's like applying to be Jeffrey Dahmer's publicist. You don't do that unless you've completely lost the plot or sold your soul at a clearance sale. And did anyone else notice Alan's historical cosplay? Comparing the slaughter of children in Gaza to World War II, like we're supposed to forget we've got Google? Meanwhile, Mehdi just sat there calm, cold, and calculating, reading Israeli soldiers' own confessions out loud like it was story time in hell. Let's be real, Mehdi exposed the fact that not a single Israeli soldier has been prosecuted for deliberately killing Palestinian children, despite Alan's desperate courtroom fanfiction. And when pressed to name just one of these imaginary prosecutions, silence, crickets, audible embarrassment. Oh, and don't think we missed that bit about Netanyahu dragging this war on just to save his own corrupt backside from prison. If that doesn't scream dictator energy, I don't know what does. The whole Israeli military strategy is starting to look less like self-defense and more like a war crime speedrun. Mehdi didn't just win this debate in my eyes. He lit a match and walked away in slow motion. If you're still unsure who walked away victorious, ask yourself, would you rather be the guy quoting New York Times military leaks and war crime documentation? Or the guy proudly saying, I defended Epstein and Netanyahu? Case closed. Don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Because if YouTube is the court of public opinion, we just handed down the verdict. Catch y'all later.